So, I was a popular girl growing up. I was actually so popular that I decided I wanted to show you exactly what that meant. So I'm showing you a very, very rare photo that was taken in the year 2000 of me at a math camp. I'm in the corner with the pigtails and the red shirt. Like I said, I was really, really popular growing up. That wasn't, yeah, and you know what? I went to math camps for fun. So I went again, and I went again, and I went again. And guess what? I actually never stopped going, because as I became an adult, it turns out that I went back and I just started teaching the same things that I was learning when I looked like that. But I mean, oh, wow, I even put another one in there. Oh my goodness. So clearly all cards are on the table here. Well, and then like all good math girls, I went to the University of Waterloo, yeah! And I got a degree in mathematics, and so I continued to be a woman in mathematics. And then when I finished my degree, I went and I decided to be a data scientist. And I was a data scientist for 7 years. And it's interesting, because about a year ago, I decided to wake up and I was like, you know what? All this popularity has gone straight to my head. And so I think it's time to tackle a brand new industry. And I'm going to become a woman in mining. So, but really quickly, going back to that very first photo, let's play a really fun game. Let's look at this photo. There's about 60 people in that photo. How many girls do you see? I'll save you the effort of counting. There was 9 of us back then. So interesting, right? So, anyways, like I said, I decided to go into mining. And what does that actually mean? Like, when I say mining, when I say miner, what does that mean to you? Well, I decided, let's ask Google, okay? So if I put miner in, let's ignore all the weird clip art there. What are some of the things that you actually see? Some of the impressions that I get are dark. It's really dirty. It's very, very male. In fact, it is, and it doesn't really look that safe. I think the first guy in that photo isn't even wearing a shirt. So talk about being gender inclusive. Yeah, this is a great industry to be in. Some of the other things that people think about look like this. These photos were actually taken at the beginning of the 19th century, and so, but quite honestly, people's perceptions haven't really changed from this. Other people, especially more recently, think about photos like this, or much more recently, something like this. And so, wow. Let me tell you, mining is as popular an industry right now as I was in high school. But do you know what? We don't have to do things like this. We can change. It's time for one of the world's oldest, most fundamental industries to start rethinking the way that they're doing things. And some of you may ask why. I kid you not, a year ago I was like, mining? We still mine? Like, what do we need that for? But the reality is, well, some people are looking for things like this, coal. Santa's got a long list of naughty children to give coal to every single Christmas. The greatest marketing campaigns on the planet have taught me that diamonds are a girl's best friend. Some of us, especially as we start entering a recession, they're digging for gold. Sometimes we need metals to build currencies. The laptop that's running my presentation right now. How many of you have ever used a battery? I wonder what's in this remote as we speak. How did you guys get here today? Have any of you ever been in a car, bus, or train? Hopefully, hopefully, I assume that you're not walking everywhere in Canada throughout the years. Or TVs, television, there's one in front of me right now, really, really fascinating piece of equipment there. What did you guys have for breakfast? Did it involve any sort of salt? What about those glasses that are on your face right now? Or what about those chairs that you're sitting in? What about this beautiful building that we're able to have this presentation in today? How many of you guys left the house without your cell phone? Ladies and allies, mining built this world. I tell you that every single innovation, we would not be here today if we didn't have mining as an industry to provide all of the resources that we need to actually run our civilization. And that's why we need mining. But like I said, it's time for us to change. It's time for us to be smarter and more efficient. It's time for us to be more resourceful, more inclusive, more diverse. It's time for data. It's time for artificial intelligence. It's time for GoldSpot. Ladies and allies, my name is Sarah Sun. I am Chief Data Strategist here at GoldSpot Discoveries, Inc. I'm here to talk to you about some of our successes to date, how we're using artificial intelligence to transform the mining industry, and some of the challenges that we experienced along the way. So, mining at its core is actually a big data problem. The day that you go looking for a single resource, be it copper or silver or diamonds, it starts with data. We have maps that are going back hundreds of years. Those maps have helped shape the world as we know it and helped us understand that it's actually a globe as opposed to a flat piece of land. There's other data. There's satellites that are flying above us taking photos of some of the most popular locations on Earth a dozen times a day. Did you know that? There are satellites taking photos of where you live a dozen times a day, every day. What about, there's drones that are flying over new properties and they're collecting magnetic and measuring gravitational fields. We've actually sent people out into the field where, I kid you not, they have to walk a meter, they have to dig a hole, they're taking soil samples, they throw it in their backpack, they walk another meter, they dig another hole, and they have to do this hundreds of thousands of times. There is so much data in mining, and all of that data is actually crucial for us to actually find where all of these resources are. The interesting thing about this is that we are, more than ever, we are actually spending more money on exploration than ever before, record amounts, but the reality is we're not finding the deposits, and we're not finding as much as we used to, and this is actually going to be a really big problem for us going forward. So despite all of the amount of money that we're spending, we now have to dig deeper, we have to look harder, and we have to be more efficient about how we do it. GoldSpot Discoveries is a 3-year-old startup. We actually started, this is like my favorite startup story ever. We started out of a hackathon in 2016. And so amazing. So, you know, those dreams and those hackathons, you can build your own companies out of them. And that was what we did. We built a company out of it, and since then, we have managed to work with some of the biggest names in mining. We have been so successful to date that not only have those same players gone and turned around and invested in us, but we actually managed to IPO about a month ago. So really, really exciting times. The secret to our success, thank you. It was very exciting for us too. It is actually a really long and long process. But the secret to all of our success has actually been the strength and the diversity of our team. We bring together some of the best earth scientists as well as some of the best data scientists in the field. And what we do is by putting those skill sets together, we actually understand the nuances of mineral exploration and mining, but we're still bringing real hard data science skills to that table. So we've got everything. I'm talking about PhDs in geology, geophysics, geochemistry. I've also got PhDs in particle physics and computational chemistry, and other people like myself who majored in things like finance and economics. That diverse team makes it so much fun to go to work with every single day, but it makes us incredibly powerful. Our clients love it because we've given them complete access to this very diverse, very smart team that allows us to tackle just about any project they've ever put in front of us. The concept is actually really simple. So our clients today, they're looking for something like a gold. Honestly, the biggest interest right now is in gold, but the algorithms are agnostic to whatever mineral that they're looking to find. But the thing is, these deposits in the earth, they form for a reason. And so using all of that data that I talked about before, we're trying to find correlations and understand why those minerals have actually formed. And then we stick our algorithms on that, and then we try to understand and we try to look for new targets. So at the beginning of every single project, we actually send a team of geologists on site to talk to the mining company and speak with their in-house geologists. They're geologists there. We spend 2 weeks. We go through every single piece of data, and you spend a lot of time with the geologists because we have to find a way to take all of the incredible knowledge that's in their heads, turn that into data points, into a way and a method that our algorithms are able to understand. Then we throw our data scientists at it. They iterate. It feels like a never-ending process. And as soon as you get potential targets, you start discussing and debating with the geologists, and you throw out targets and you add in new ones. And then until we finally get to a place where everyone is happy. It's almost impossible to satisfy everyone, but we have to cut it off at some point in time. And then at the very end, we literally turn over a map, and it says dig here. Like, think of the treasure maps with the big X's, dig on this spot. That is exactly what we turn over. Very cool. Let me walk you through a case study. So the B2B in Canada has actually produced some of Canada's highest quality, as well as the most amount of gold that Canada's ever seen. For those of you who are familiar with Quebec, this is located in the Val-d'Or region. When we first got it started, we decided to use this as a testing ground to see, do our algorithms actually work? And so what did we do? We took all of the data that was available to us, and we wanted to understand, by only using a subset of the data that was there, would we have been able to find where all of those existing gold deposits were? The short answer is yes. And I think the most exciting part of that is we actually found out that by using only 4% of the data that was there, we were able to find 86% of existing mines. That's huge. Process this for a minute. Imagine if every single mining company in the world manages to reduce their footprint by their environmental impact by even 10%. What kind of a world would we have lived in? It's interesting because the previous question was actually a great segue into GoldSpot, so loving that. But you know what? It hasn't come without its challenges. These are some actual quotes that have been sent to me. So the first one is just, I don't believe in AI. I love to use the Google, Uber, Netflix. Have you ever used a debit or a credit card because there's fraud algorithms that are running your machine? And so unless you live under a rock, your life has been touched by AI. It may not be like big and flashy out there, but it's impossible to avoid. What if your machine finds things that aren't actually there? I usually respond with, what if your geologist finds things that aren't actually there? It's the exact same problem. And that usually gives people a little pause there. This one was really good. I don't want my company to work with you because you are going to take my job. Fascinating. Did you know that bank tellers back in the 1960s did not want the ATM to go into production because they thought it was going to take their job? There are still bank tellers today. It might look slightly different, but there's actually more bank tellers today as a percentage of the workforce than there ever was in the 1960s. So interesting. And then my personal favorite, I kid you not, this was like 3 weeks ago. You can't use AI unless your machines are sentient. Are your machines sentient? Wow, I promise you my computers have no intentions of taking over the world in my lifetime. So, fingers crossed that isn't actually going to happen. Well, but you know what? For every single step you take, for every single success story out there, there's going to be someone who doesn't believe. That's someone who just doesn't believe in you, doesn't believe in the method, doesn't believe in the industry as a whole. And to that, I say wait and see. Because the reality is those people are going to lose to their faster, nimbler, data-driven competitors, or they're going to be forced out of the industry entirely. So the entire thing shifts and changes around them. And so, despite all of this, I am so hopeful for this industry. I'm so hopeful for the people in this room, because I feel like I'm looking at the future leaders, the movers and the shakers, the visionaries and the dreamers that are going to be running these data companies, running our governments, the tech companies, and even the mining companies and the industries out there. So, help me. Be curious, be bold, and be courageous. I need you to stand up. I need you to lean in. And I need you to be the voice in the room that asks, is there a smarter, better way? Challenge the status quo. It's not going to be easy, but I always say that the only challenges worth tackling are the ones that are actually difficult to do. So, join me, and together, we are going to change this world for the better, one big data problem at a time.